afternoon, my friends. This is Janice Jimenez welcoming you to another episode of The Real Estate Gal. Continuing with our Feng Shui for the home, we still have DB with us so that we can continue our discussion on how to improve health and wellness through the use of Feng Shui in choosing your home. In my many years as a mortgage broker and a realtor, it is important for me to know exactly what my clients want, what they want to see, and what they want to feel when they're looking for their new home. DB, what are these important points, and can you please ponder into the direction of the home? I hear a lot about east facing homes and where the light shines. Can you please clarify the subject for us?
Thank you, Janice. That's a really very good question. Yeah, so the first thing probably where we need to start is to determine the facing direction for the house. Most likely, the direction of the front door, the front entrance door. So that decides the direction of the house. But it is not always. So for example, if you are living in an apartment, then the facing direction is completely different than the entrance direction for the building or the entrance direction for the apartment. So therefore, we always need to start with the basic principles for determining the facing direction. So for example, what we need to determine that which side of the house admits the maximum sunlight during the daytime. So as the sunlight basically represents the yang qi, therefore the side of the house or the side of the apartment that admits maximum sunlight or maximum yang qi, so that side determines the facing direction. So that's one of the way we can decide the facing direction.
Wow, you brought a very important point, DB. I really had the impression that the front of the house is just where the door is. I did not know that there was such difference between where your front door is, where your front facing is, where the light entrance. And I forgot about the condominiums and the townhouses and those houses that they do not necessarily use the front door as their entrance. Thank you for clarifying this with us, DB.
So therefore, when you are trying to kind of decide for your new house, the first thing you try to identify what is the facing direction. Is your front entrance door aligned with the facing direction, or is your facing direction completely different? And why it is so important? Because for the Feng Shui consultant, that is the first input what we consider for our Feng Shui analysis. That's why it is so important. The second thing could be from your perspective, once you know what the facing direction is, you can start applying very simple Feng Shui to start with. Because the facing direction invites the maximum qi, you need to open the doors and windows in the facing direction and invite all the healthy and nourishing qi. So that will improve the positivity. So that is why it is very important that we should identify what is the facing direction for the house and start applying our Feng Shui with the facing direction first.
That's another great point, JB. Most people that I heard of that believe in Feng Shui states that east-facing direction homes are the best. But I believe it's not permanently assigned. So once again, you have to consult with your Feng Shui consultant to determine what's best for your property.
Yeah, that's definitely right. Because once you contact the Feng Shui consultant, then what we do, we look at the Google Earth. We try to see how the house or the building is kind of located with respect to the landscape. And then we can help you to determine or ascertain the facing direction. But as I always say, it is the movement of the chi dynamics, which decides the facing direction, not the physical location of the front door.
Well, moving on our Feng Shui journey, I think it's time for us to discuss the Feng Shui minimum checks that we should be doing if you are out in the market in choosing your home using the Feng Shui techniques. DB, go ahead.
Thank you. I think that's really important thing. So whoever we are trying to kind of buy our new house, there are few basic checks probably we need to do before deciding whether this particular house is going to help us in the long term. This is going to help us building wealth and health and overall prosperity. So as I said, the chi actually originates from the outside, from the nature. So therefore, the first check what we need to do, if there is any chi blockage in the facing direction of the house. And that is why I started with determining the facing direction first and then check which objects, which structure, or what is there, what is happening in front of the facing direction of the house. For example, oftentimes I see in the United Kingdom that we have a lamppost or electric post or maybe flagpole directly in front of the front facing direction, or maybe directly in front of a facing window or front door. So all these are chi blockage. So what happens basically, the sha chi, the poison arrow, directly comes from this short structure or the tall structure, and that continually hits whoever is kind of standing in front of the front door or sitting in front of the front facing window. In the longer term, those Shachi or the poison arrows, which are coming from those sharp and tall objects, for example, electric lamppost or flagpole, etc. So that causes stress and irritation in those people. And in the long term, that causes effect on the health. So therefore, health, as that is very important for us, we need to always check, is there any chi blockage in front of our house? So I would say that's the first check what we need to do, because once you are inside a new house, it would be very difficult to kind of change those permanent structures in front of us.
Excellent information as usual, DB. But unfortunately, we are out of time for this afternoon show. Please stay tuned with us for next week as we continue our discussion with Davy Palai as we discuss the Feng Shui checks as you choose your home using Feng Shui techniques. This is Janice Jimenez, your real estate L, wishing you to live life regal. See you next week.